Hi everyone and welcome. My name is Martin Castor, CEO of the Hypno Academy, and hey, welcome to this different type of setup and workshop. Usually I'm present on the HypnoThoughts live in person always, but due to travel restrictions right now, it's pretty difficult to get inside of the US. So this is going to be the way we're going to do it this time. So never forget, I love being in front of people. And being in front of you in this type of matter is almost just as good as if it was the real deal. So the interaction is going to be quite different. So instead of choosing someone from the audience, I prepared a couple of demos for you so I can really show you everything I want you to learn on this training. It's a 2-hour workshop. I know, I just call it training, I know, but it's a 2-hour workshop, and there's a couple of things I always want to share when I do stand in front of people. First of all, allow people to kind of like experience my passion for the craft of hypnosis. 2, give you the insights, not holding back, but showing you how to do this stuff. 3, make sure you got some content so you can go back home and do it yourself. That would be the reason why I'm teaching you this workshop. So this is all about you learning something new. And it might be, hey, you think, hey, I know everything, or you're brand new. Doesn't matter. Either way, you will learn something new. So pay attention. We can always learn something new. So I'm grateful and I'm happy that you're watching, and let's make the best out of it. In my new setup in a small studio, making sure that you guys will get the best of me. So welcome. First of all, welcome. And it doesn't matter if you're watching this live or as a replay, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to make sure you get the content. And a couple of things. I'm going to show you 2 things today. A fast protocol with all the basics, and then I'm going to introduce you to something that is a full protocol for a more advanced instant emotional relief method that's going to really change how you look at things. I'm going to show that to you in the very end, plus some extras, plus some PDFs, and plus some stuff. So please take notes and pay attention. It's going to be fun. It's going to be amazing, hopefully, and I'm going to do it as best as I possibly can. So why this topic? Instant emotional relief. What if there was a method where you could actually go straight to the source of an emotion, and through the natural tendencies of the brain, the neural networks, the nervous system, everything that functions within your client, what if it was possible to change the experience of the emotion from something negative to something positive, but in a natural way, even without diving into the negative emotion? I'm going to share some stuff with you, because being within a negative emotion for way too long will interact with your body and will manifest in a way. So you might start experiencing some severe physiological challenges because you've been negative for a while. But remember a thing, the neurological networks react in a specific way because that's a part of our genetics. And there's a reason why we look negative at things, or at least keep an eye out for danger, because that's how we programmed to survive, okay? But what if we could actually bypass some of that? Or at least when it's already happened, if you could dive into it without diving into it and redirect the energy, allowing the synapses, the neurological networks, to adapt to it and find the real resource behind it. Traveling the world for 25 years, teaching people, performing, doing talks, all of the above when it comes to hypnosis, taught me quite a thing or two. And usually when I'm in front of people, randomly, and a lot of times it happens where somebody goes like, well, is it because, haven't you tried this method? And they're going to mention something they were taught back in school, way back or recently. And I usually go, I know that method, and there's a reason why I'm not using it right now. So whatever's out there of different techniques and ideas, trust me, I've tried a lot of that. Not all of it, but most of it, because I've been studying every single year in my entire career as a hypnotist. I do it every single day. I keep attending workshops, trainings, classes myself, because I can only be wiser than I already am. So that's the way it works. You can always learn something more. So the reason for this, the reason why I'm telling you this is I want you to expand your mind. I want you to be curious and pay attention. Everything I'm going to teach you today is something that works. So think about this once again. Because I've been taught that, hey, if you want to deal with emotions, you should either put a lid on it, hide it, bury it somewhere, avoid it. But it's a natural reaction. Those emotions are with reference to something that happened, that for some reason is an issue within your body or your mind, or both. And there's a way of solving that without going into it. Remember, most of what you think happened in the past right now is false realities. Because your mind is designed to put a lot of stuff on top of that to kind of like explain why things happened the way it happened and all that crazy stuff. So, and if we just go 1 year back in our lives, and even people who claim that they can remember quite a lot, it's been proven scientifically there's only glimpses that you can remember. Everything else is something that your brain constructs into a logical reality based on your references, your knowledge, recent experiences, what people told you, all of that. But I'm going to share this with you. It's going to be fun. And, usually when I do live trainings also, it's interactive. We can't do this interactive on this particular workshop since it's, pre-recorded. So most of it is. Anyway, so the interaction, I'm going to leave that up to you to still be able to lean back and watch, because I got a couple of demos for you from recent trainings and workshops to make sure you got the best out of it. There might be some small explanation right after the demo that is from that particular training to make sure you understand everything that happened. But it's all real cases, real students, real problems, and you'll see me solving that on the go right there. So many people have a misunderstanding of emotions, because negative emotions that manifest might make you depressed, feel anxiety, having issues, physiological issues, mental issues, because it creates a state of depression. And I'm going to dive into that in just a moment. But the problem is with the negative emotions that if you don't solve it somehow, if you don't figure out what it really is, you will have problems. But it's a natural process. But it's also a natural process to, resolve it. So that's what I want to teach you and make you understand. So I got some things set up for you. I got some amazing stuff set up for you that I want to talk about. And to make it a little bit easier, let's start up the presentation model as flowy and as professional as possible, because I want this to be interesting and I want you to notice the passion. So let's do this. So let's start this up. So here it is. Let's talk about what is emotions really. So that is, some of the first things we have to really understand. What is really an emotion? So if we kind of like look into that, the emotions, I got 5 signs of emotional suffering. I got depression and why it causes physical symptoms and how you can change the neurology. So let's take a closer look on that one. These are basic. Just to make you understand, these are just basics to make you understand why emotions behave the way they do, and also why we are able to actually solve it. Yeah. So let's move on to the emotions. Where do they come from? First of all, the limbic system. The limbic system is where it's manifested. It's where it functions. Also in the hypothalamus, right up there, the hippocampus, the amygdala, and the limbic cortex. There's some PDFs attached to this one where you can read all about this. So please check out the link in the very end and make sure you get all this information and to be able to understand it. So yeah, the emotions are real because they're in your brain. Even 5 places is where they are. So we have to know about that actually. The next thing I want you to understand is because when we talk about emotions, they're connected to something, always connected to something. So what would be a way of recognizing something like that? You might be seeing regular clients, you might be new in the business, you might notice something happening when you're close with friends, family is similar. But these are signs on people have challenges with negative emotions. So first of all, personality change. Yeah. You probably know it from yourself. If you have a great day, nothing can disturb your attitude, uh, your way of feeling, how great it all is this day. It's a sunny weather. It's all perfect. And then suddenly, if you have a bad day, everything that used to be pretty fine is now another challenge and another issue. You probably know that feeling, right? Oh, here we go. Too fast there. Agitated. Takes nothing. You just get agitated by nothing. That's part of personality change also. But if it's easily to upset you, if that's becomes like a natural thing every single day, it means something is happening on the inside, something is not right. If you withdraw yourself from, social circumstances, friends, family, conversations, if you just withdraw and just want to be by yourself because you can't cope with anything out there, well, these are one of the reasons why also this is an example of negative emotions being present in that human being or in you if you had that experience. Poor self-care. Well, people who are really overwhelmed by negative emotions, slightly depressed or severely depressed, suddenly, doesn't really take care of themselves because it doesn't matter. They don't pay attention to it because they can only focus on the negatives within the mind, and that is a huge task every single day. Everything else doesn't really matter. That's what we need to understand. Last thing is hopelessness. There's no light at the end of the tunnel. There's no funny thoughts. There's no happy thoughts. There's no positive wanted outcome. I've given up. So imagine just one of these. That might be a challenge, but imagine 2, 3, or even everything. That'll be a challenge, wouldn't it? So that's one of the things you really have to pay attention to make sure that we do understand all of it. Absolutely. So that's definitely something we need to know. Next thing, when we move into the 5 signs of emotional suffering, it's kind of like, it's even more interesting what's going to happen now, because depression actually do affect more than just mood. So it's just not a mood thing. You're moody today. No, it actually manifests different places. So increasing of aches and pains, actually. So if you have a condition, a physiological condition, some might know a friend, or maybe you even experienced it yourself, being hospitalized, you had some issues. But if you kind of like lose faith in it, or even hope in it, those physiological problems seems to, grow a little bit, increase somehow. Pain is more painful than it was yesterday. So those are one of the things also to pay attention to. Chronic fatigue. Don't have energy, don't have power. You're just letting go because you don't have the energy for anything. You can't really even just be you. Breathing is a problem. So that kind of manifestation. Decreased interest in sex. Well, there could be numerous issues why you have a decreased interest in sex, but if you're depressed, if there's a lot of negative emotions, that drive is not going to be part of you because you're not in that mode within your basic core of being a human being. There's no interest in reproducing yourself because there's so many other things up there that might be an issue that manifest throughout the body. So, hey, nothing within your body will get ready or happy or engage with anything that is, considered sexual act. So, consider that also. Decreased appetite. Yep. If you're depressed, if you're down, if your negative emotions are all over, even eating is a problem, right? And you see this in cases where we have a couple who's been together their entire life. Husband and wife dies, the other one dies from grief. Don't feel like eating, don't feel like waking up every day, losing faith. Everything seems to just fall apart, and they eventually die either from not eating, not drinking, or just grief in general. It's dangerous. Even insomnia, lack of deep sleep, or oversleeping. So you're so chronically fatigued that you can sleep all the time, but you're not really getting a good nap or good sleep. You can't fall asleep. You're going to be like sleeping very light. So it takes nothing to disturb your sleep. So you're not really there. You never go into the deep sleep where you really feel like well rested afterwards. So you kind of probably recognize right now there's a lot of issues when we're allowing negative emotions to be part of who we are. So let's move on a little bit. Depression causes, oh, that was too fast. Well, that's just a fact actually. So depression actually causes, oh, here we go. It's just me messing up, isn't it? It causes physical symptoms, definitely. Let's see, was that the same one? No, it wasn't. I just went too fast. That's basically it. I do apologize, but hey, we all good, aren't we? So how can we deal with this? Because we got the science of emotional suffering. We know what's going to happen when, what kind of physiological or physical symptoms it's going to provoke or initiate. What about changing the neurology? Because by changing the neurological networks with simple techniques, it's possible to release negative emotions. So it's not in the old school type of way. Here's a negative emotions, let's throw it out, or let's bury it, or let's kind of like disassemble it, or throw the pieces away, or whatever. No, it's there for a reason, so figure out why. And in which other situation is that a positive emotion? Or positive intention, positive behavior. So we need to figure out, because worst case scenario, a negative emotion is a warning sign. And how is that not good for you, knowing that your body is trying to warn you or your mind is trying to warn you? That is a really good sign, isn't it? So remember that we can change the neurology. So instead of being stuck within the negative behavior, intention, or emotion, yeah, there might be negative intentions, I know. Instead of being stuck there, what if we had the power and the energy to go beyond it and actually solve it? That's the whole reason, hopefully, you're listening to this presentation. I hope. Anyway, yep. So that's basically, that's what emotions really are. It's where it's located. It's signs you have to pay attention to if you're seeing clients or have friends or family. It's what it actually causes within you and how you can change it. That's basically everything it is. So I want to share something else with you that is really interesting to me to talk about. And there we go. Another thing that is really important to think about is how can you measure your work throughout the session? And a lot of you probably know the SUD scale, like subjective units of distress, that is mainly used in medical terms and stuff like that to kind of like, so if the pain on a scale from 1 to 10 is a 2, you wouldn't want a 10 because 10 is very powerful. The problem about this is it's all focused on the negative. And if we're seeing someone who already has issues, a negative way of thinking, negative mindset, negative emotions, why do we want to valorize and measure the negatives and keep talking about them? So my main issue with the SUD scale is it's all based on negatives, because it's within its name, subjective units of distress. I don't want to measure the distress, because every time there's a problem and there's distress or whatever, it means there's a positive resource that lacks power. So what is missing when the negative is more powerful than the positive? Which positive is missing in that very moment? So what if we could actually change the way of using the SUD scale and change the whole idea about that? And yes, I do have a solution for that. So let's take a look at this one. So let's talk about the SUD scale in the best way I can possibly do. SUD scale stands for something completely different. So let's move into this just a little bit. Let's work with the same type of idea, but in a different way. So let's call it subjective units of dominant attention. And that's a kind of like a measure and valorize tool that only works with the positive resources. Why? Because then the neurological networks that are positive has a better chance of getting lightened up, activated, and more powerful, instead of using the negatives. So what we're doing with the SUD scale is we focus on the positive change and hidden resources instead of negatives. We're going to measure the positive intention and resource, and we measure the power of it. So the example I used a little bit earlier was, what if we have a pain and it's on a 10, we want it down to a 1 or a 2. Let's do the opposite with the Suda scale. So the resource that is missing, so let's say that is happiness. So when you're experiencing a problem, a negative emotion, and whatever that emotion is, we might have it identified with a name, but let's think about it in a different way. So what is missing? So let's say that's happiness. On a scale from 1 to 10, where 10 is powerful and 1 is almost nothing, where's happiness? 1, 2? So now we got a measured value on what's missing, a positive resource. So throughout the session, we can keep asking about it, and as we move along with the session and using the techniques, this will grow even more. And it will. And that's the whole idea behind it. It will grow even more. So the power of growing a positive makes sure that whatever negative there might be, or more negatives, they will actually decrease, and the power of the positive will increase. So that's what it's supposed to be. So that's why I kind of like, we're a little bit playful and a little bit provocative against use of the SUD scale, and that's why I just named it the Suda scale. So let's move on just a little bit. So it's basically what it is. Okay, so figure out what is the negative emotion, what's missing when that negative emotion is active, what is missing, how do we want it to be, valorize that on the Suda scale, figure out how little powerful it is right now, because that's what we want to empower up. And let's move on to the induction part. So for this matter, I'm just going to use the Siri, and there's a couple of reasons why. The Siri is easy, and it's not a classical induction about, going to a meadow or lying in a field of flowers or relaxing methods. No, this is empowering all your senses, your brain and neurological networks, how you cooperate throughout the session. It actually, activates all of this. So it's powerful. So let's move on to that part, and let's see what's happening. So the Siri stands for Conversational and Emotional Resource Induction. Sounds fancy, it's just words. Remember, it's just words, okay? Here we go, that's the things we got right there. So there's three steps in this, because this is the induction that no matter if your client is, cooperative or resistant, if they know hypnosis or not, if they want to be hypnotized or not, this induction works on closed eye, open eye clients, even resisting clients, because even though they think they're, in the absolute power of not cooperating, this induction, as long as they follow the questions, will happen. It will take them to a trance-resourceful state, so we can work with them, and there's going to be very little resistance, if any, because we want to cooperate with the unconscious mind, and this is the whole idea behind it. So we're going to open it up with something we call the early peak state. It's childhood memory, neutral, at least neutral, maybe happy, a state of greatness, invulnerability. It's a moment you remember, in spite of everything, that was at least neutral, that had nothing to do with anything else in life that might be considered negative. That is an early peak state. That is where you at that time felt the most resourceful. Then we want to activate all the senses. So that very moment, what is the image that kind of like frames it? How does it feel, smell, taste, or sound even? Enhance all those positives as resources, and then shift between the modalities, and now you got everything established within your brain and your body. So if there's any negative emotion established before the session, already by asking about the positive, the early peak state moment, and asking about the positive, experiences within the senses, it's going to push out the negative, because what fires together wires together in the brain, and now we talk about all the positive resources. Last thing is, no, there doesn't have to be a progressive relaxation method, because by doing all of this with the client's actual senses and resources, a great state happens. It doesn't have to be relaxed or anything. That's the big misconception about hypnosis. Your client needs to be relaxed to be able to do the session. Nope, they have to be activated and cooperative on the unconscious level. That's what they need to be. So a natural trance will be induced, and you know, if you need any type of progressive relaxation, you know, keep it simple. If they're ready to go, if they just need a deep breath to relax on, that's good enough. Because the natural deepening will happen in the trance and as you go along with it. So that's basically the power of that one. So the series is really interesting because it works in any type of setup. That's my go-to thing when I'm teaching my coach model and all the other models that I teach, with some variety in it. But as a basic induction that will do the job and will, you know, beat anyone else out there of the old inductions and the classic inductions, this will do the job because it's based on the science that require or things that is required for the brain to enter that trance state. This is built upon that. No fancy fairy tales, just straight on to something that will ignite within the client, that is a resourceful state, and just allow it to grow automatically within minutes. So I really want to show you how to do this. So I've chosen a great demo of the series. So lean back, pay attention to it, and just notice all the steps we just talked about, the early peak state, the activation of all the senses, and then, you know, whatever relaxation we might need right there. And I'm going to explain it as I go along with it. Pay attention to the client, pay attention to everything else, and yeah, let's do it. Ready to go. Anyone? Anyone? So 5 seconds from now, we'll start doing the pointing game. Somebody will point. Okay. That means if you raise your hand, it's easier just to come up here. Imagine you're the one who came the latest, but right now you're the first one up here. So you are first at something.
I have.
Yay! Yay! Okay. So I just want to go through this as a demo, sticking with the concept as clear as possible. So I want you guys to pay attention to a couple of things. I know some of you might want to go, oh, let's write down all his words and sentences. That's not the aim for this. There we go. The aim is, because my words is something I make up on the go, depending on how Glenn reacts to my questions. But what I want you to pay attention to is, I'm not applying anything to the situation. I'm not adding stuff. Everything I'm going to use right now is everything he told me. And I'm sticking to, let's get some peak moment, ask about it, let's go get all the senses going, and then see if he's relaxed enough to continue. That's basically it. So I'm sticking to those 3 steps, and you should probably be capable of remember that afterwards. And you might want to pay attention to that only, if I follow the steps and how he reacts. So use half of your attention to focus on Glenn while he's doing it. Okay? So I want to start this up as a completely regular session. Would that be okay with you?
Yeah.
Good. The only thing I'm not doing right now would be, so what is your problem? What's your topic? I know you're Glenn, and eventually we're going to work with something. But here's the thing. Before we do anything that has to do with hypnosis, right? I just wanted to close your eyes for a brief moment. Just do that and sit as comfortable as possible on your chair. There we go. So before we go into depth with anything or everything, I want your unconscious mind to just go through the archives of amazing moments from maybe childhood. There might be a few, but I want you to pick the first one that pops up as a great moment from your childhood. You might just remember a little, there might be more. Just nod your head when you got that moment. Perfect. So just briefly and shortly, tell me about that particular situation. What's happening?
We're cooking. We're children of like, I guess 6 years old, and we're starting to cook spare ribs.
Awesome. So 6 years old, more
Yeah.
kids than you, you're cooking, and you're cooking spare ribs.
Yeah.
And I see it makes you smile. What's happening in your body right now? How does that feel?
It's relaxing.
It's relaxing, isn't it? And besides just relaxing, so the whole feeling of standing there, cooking with the others, the spare ribs looks good, 6 years old, smiling, having fun, feeling relaxing. What else is there?
I feel some sensation here,
Yeah. What kind of sensation is that?
a happy one.
Yeah, I know, I see it. That's perfect. So as you feel that happiness right now, not just in your chest, but it grows, and you feel that relaxation, that's a good moment, isn't it?
Mm.
That's kind of like a peak moment. What is new? What is new to that moment as you're there right now and feel everything that you feel? What is new that you haven't paid attention to before, but it's a resource? And maybe it's why you picked up a particular situation. Yeah.
I'm not sure it's new, but it's like we're doing something that is not really allowed, but it gives me a feeling of like we're doing stuff.
You're doing stuff. That's a good feeling, isn't it?
Yeah.
So besides happiness, relaxation, there's this feeling.
Yeah, and it's enlarging here.
Awesome. So I want you just to stay with that and just allow it to grow and enlarge as much as possible, because it's you right now, isn't it? And as you do that right now, I want you to focus on something that's visual and image to you that would resemble all of that. So when you see this image, sense it, feel it. I don't care if it's the picture of everything that's happening, or if it's symbolic or anything, but what is it that you see that is all of that? Yeah, it could be anything, I know.
I see the Hulk.
You see the Hulk.
I'm not really fond of the Hulk, but I see him.
Yeah, it must mean something, wasn't it?
Yeah, something
Yeah.
strong.
I know. So that enlarging feeling, the good feeling, the relaxation, the happiness, and you see that image of Hulk, because that's all of that at the same time, isn't it? If you should connect a sound to it, you guys standing there cooking, looking at the spare ribs, having fun, feeling relaxed, that good feeling, and you know Hulk is part of it because that image is good. Which sound will empower all of that even more?
I hear something like go, go, go.
Cool. Makes sense, doesn't it? Because that feeling is so awesome, you just want to go, go, go with it. Perfect. And there's a certain feel, something within your body right now that you can focus on that makes you feel even more empowered. Not just the relaxation, not just the good feeling, not just the happiness, all enlarging, but there's something very kinesthetic that you can focus on right now. What is that?
It's the strongest feeling over here.
Perfect. That strong feeling right there. Yeah, that feels good. And even better, Glenn. It might be a weird question, but standing there with that strong feeling right there, that relaxation, that happiness, that good feeling, the Hulk, yeah, and that go, 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 go. If there's a scent that could activate all of that right now, even more, empower it even more, what is the scent that you notice this very moment? It takes you straight to fire all of that up. So you hear the go, go, go. See the Hulk. Feeling happy, feeling good, relaxed. What scent is it? What's the first thing that pops up in your mind right now? And it could be just that. Clarity. Pureness. What is it?
Yeah,
You didn't expect that, did you?
I'm laughing with your but there's no smell.
So it's clear.
Hmm.
How would you express that? The no scent.
Calm,
Calm.
steady, leadership, and balance.
That's the scent I'm talking about. That's how pure it is, isn't it? Would pure be the right word to explain the scent? Because it's all that leadership?
Clarity?
Yeah.
Or is there a better word for it?
Pure. It's good.
You're doing really good, Glenn. I got one last question. That taste. That taste of that purity, that leadership, clarity, the Hulk, the laughter, the go, 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 the relaxation, the good feeling, the strong feeling still enlarging. What kind of taste is that?
The taste of victory.
I know. And as that grow right now and you feel that all over from the top of your mind to the tips of your toes, just allow it to wave back and forth and feel even stronger. And if there's anything inside of your body right now, anything inside of your body that needs to release in any sort of way, your body will take a deep breath in just a moment and just let it go so you're ready. Go, go, go. Yeah, that's it. And just stay there for a while I'm talking to people in the room. I really extended it. I could do this way faster. But we're done. He's in a really good state right now. I don't care if he's hypnotized or he's feeling hypnotized or not. He's in a really good condition, a really good state. He's enlightened, empowered by all those resources right now. So, did you notice how many times I said all his resources? I know. Keep doing that. Glenn, right now, before I'll count you up on the count of 5, as you hear the go, 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 I want you to know that any time when you taste the smell of taste of victory, and you smell the purity of leadership, and you hear the go, 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 see the Hulk, and you hear that specific sound, go, go, go in the background. The green Hulk, the relaxation, the strong thing, all of that. You can take yourself there immediately. Sometimes you're there and you can hear the sound then. Sometimes you realize, hey, I just thought about Hulk, I feel it. Other times you go, there's that smell of nothing once again. Wow, I'm a leader. That's the most powerful you. And when you feel ready, just allow yourself to know that you can take all of that with you into the now. It's not something you dive into, it's something you bring with you all the way up on 1. Feeling even better now, 2. Even more energized, 3. And right now, your body might want to give you a little small treat. 4. That's a laughter starting in your chest all the way up to your face. And those muscles are already preparing. And I want you to try and hold that smile back on the last count of 5. Because the more you try, the bigger smile will be. 5. There you go. How are you feeling now?
Great.
Great, right?
Yeah.
So I have a couple of questions, because this will be a common thing that you might think as a therapist. I might sit there and think, how deep is he? It's not a question we should ask ourselves. It's basically not a question we should ask our clients, because our clients wouldn't know. And he might know because he's a skilled therapist, and you've probably, I don't know you, but you've probably been into trance several times, right? And we might have some really good experiences with depth and totally be gone. This is therapy. Let's say we're about to do a deep traumatic intervention in just a moment. So when you feel all of that, how ready did you feel?
How ready? How deep?
How ready would you feel doing all of that to go straight into therapy and do traumatic intervention?
Yeah.
Okay, that's the answer, isn't it? Did you feel relaxed?
Yeah.
Comfortable?
More and more relaxed.
Yep, exactly.
Until the end, yeah.
Comfortable?
Yep.
Trusting?
Yep. Although
Yeah.
I like your spinning, but I something said like, okay, there's whoop.
Analytical.
Yeah, I am.
But you still went there, didn't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Good, so I won. Right? Because it's not a battle, is it? I want you to have the experience. So I know the type of brain you have because I've seen that in so many clients. I got a similar type of brain. So I know exactly how to handle Glenn's and I know how to handle Hank's. Right? because it's not a battle. I just want you to have the experience. So the reason why we dragged a couple of the things was because I waited for that physiological response. And when you thought it out and you finally got it, it was there, because the scent was the biggest challenge.
Yep.
But here's an observation. Here's an observation. And you please say if I'm wrong, but you actually had that clarity or that purity within a couple of seconds, but then you started thinking because you thought you should look for something different. Because you did, and you did that, like, but is it that? So you started thinking, didn't you? Or looking.
The first thing I thought was like, oh, this is nice, done. And then I start looking, and after that I thought like, okay, but pure is good.
Yeah.
And then there were some connections with the image, so
Good.
the leadership and
Yep.
but it was more, then it was not more thinking anymore. It was more
I know. So that was
automatically
so what I'm trying to say is the first couple of seconds you had the scent, you knew what it was, but there was no words connected to it. And then your brain started to kind of like accumulate that, and not necessarily analyze it, but trying to figure out how to do it. And I just applied a couple of things, but every time I said something like clarity or purity, because that is the scent of nothing. And I'm just using a positive word to empower it, but I don't want you to accept the word. That's why I finished by saying, what is the best word for you to use? But I gave you an idea because I wanted you to be creative. And what's even better that I do not expect in any session or every session is you putting images to the scent, but that was really good. So I kept using that leadership, because that is something that means something to you, because when you said leadership, you had a big leadership, you said, like really powerful. That means something. So I'm just using, I told you guys to begin with, I'm using everything he gives me with you and against you, right? So those 3, 4, maybe 5 minutes covers everything we need to do to condition our client. And now I know way more about my client than I would have from a 20-minute pre-talk talking about the issue. Because everything we've been talking about right now is resource states. Yeah? So that's why you feel pretty, therapy? Yeah. Right? Trauma? Okay. Instead of, I don't know yet. I don't know.
You've got your list of resources.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm going to use all of it against you and with you. And when I say against, let's say he said something that would be negative. I would say, so how much leadership do you want, or do you already have, as you actually take a deep breath in and smell it? Because that strong feeling in lodging, I wonder how big it will be to get rid of all the last stuff. And now we're using his own words to demolish whatever could be a negative that's only a thought because he got insecure for a brief moment. So I'm not allowing the insecurity to take over. I'm allowing you to beat your insecurity by using your own words and just allow it to grow. And what you didn't see is what everybody else saw. While I'm really energetic sitting here. So every time I talk about something enlarging, I'm doing this. And I'm way closer to my client right now than I would be in my office. I would be something like this actually, because I want him to have his space. But I'm still sitting on the edge of my chair doing all of this because I know that one thing is the words. But I could sit here like, just feel that enlarging and grow and feeling stronger. Because that is words. That's the words being powerful. But just feel like being larger and
I
grow.
felt that.
Good. That's what I wanted you to realize. Because I believe when I do this, I feel it. I feel it my way. But he feels it too. So I want to express myself because I want him to feel it. So that's why I'm so energetic. And not so, blue. All right? So analytical, because it's an experience. So that is the entire series. So we did the early peak. We know exactly what that's all about. And some people might go, cooking spare ribs with friends, 6 years old, how could that be a peak moment? Well, all of those words came from that moment. How is that not good? Right? Because it's memory and it means something. Okay? So we got the childhood, we got the state, we activated all the senses, we deepened them, we enhanced it, we shifted modalities several times. progressive relaxation, the only thing I did besides the stuff that happened through the modality shift was basically the deep breath. If there's anything left in the body, so just the fact that I'm questioning that will make you question if there is anything left, right? So that is a tricky way of asking the question, but it's helping the situation. And I said, your body will take a deep breath, not you, because you don't know when to. Because if I told him to take a deep breath when he was ready, he will be like, I'm not sure when I'm ready. So asking the body, and it does it, your mind goes, oh, there it is. And you just let it go, and that means you got so relaxed as you're supposed to be, so we can just continue. So that's a natural deepening at the same time.
I have to say, at that point, I feel a little bit like a sensation on my back. It's more like an stress sensation, but it's just very little. And I thought, oh, now that will disappear. But it did not, how do you say it, the expectation, did not meet the expectation.
It didn't meet the expectation.
Yeah. So this was the rational thinking, like, oh, now this will...
That's nice, because that's just a conscious anchor of you letting you know that you're still in control. So I'm good with that. Because it didn't change anything, did it? It was just you using your conscious mind going like, oh, I still feel something. I didn't expect that. Because it didn't meet my expectations. So that's still unexpected, but it's your conscious minds focusing on something. That means the adults, our unconscious minds, can work now. So that's all good. It's not a problem. On the contrary, it's good. So that is you giving yourself a tool because of your analytical brain. Awesome.
So it was like distraction.
Yeah. You made it. I didn't. It wasn't there before. Is it there now?
Yeah.
Now it is. It wasn't there before. But when you thought of it, it came back. Interesting.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that, but I think I felt it all the way, but...
He what?
I feel it, and I felt it all the way.
You should think, though.
Yeah.
I'm
You're using my language against me.
Yep, I am.
But I'm just very poor in expressing myself.
No, you're not. No, you're not.
Just kidding, yeah.
Of course, I'm using everything you say against you.
Yeah.
Because I believe in the first thing you say, not in your explanation that comes after.
Okay, check.
And probably you know I'm right. so it's not a battle, is it? Because it left him in a state that is really good for us to do something nice right now. Thank you.
So what if there's a model where you can actually attack or work with the negative emotion without really going into it? What if there was a way of resolving that, releasing it, or exchange that with something positive? There is. And that's the part I'm gonna share with you right now. I call it the edit model. Yeah, edit, because we edit the client, but it stands for something more, and I'll tell you about that in just a moment. Because not that long ago, I had a client that had been kind of like surfing through different therapists, well-known therapists, internationally known therapists, and just random Joes who just open up the praxis. And everybody said like, hey, we got the golden tickets for you. We got the D1 solution for you to get rid of whatever you need to get rid of. One session wonders. And I'm like, okay, I'm paying attention to my client's story, and she's very overwhelmed by everything. And she told me from the very beginning, this is the last resort for me. You're the last option. You're it. We need to go do it, right? So she's been going through all these models, and everybody seemed like they had the perfect solution for her. But all of them basically asked her about the problem, had a conversation about the problem, starting to conclude on her behalf what they thought was the issue and the problem, what she should do about it, instead of actually just recognizing she has a feeling, she has an emotion, and let's think about that, because something lies underneath that, or something is hiding behind it. So that's basically what we need to do. That's basically what we need to check up. And so it never really paid off for her, because she felt like she got new different dimensions to her issue and her negative emotion every time she went to see somebody else, and she was listening, and everything they told her seemed like, well, that's rational way of thinking. That sounds like a good solution, and that would be a good thing for me if this happened. But every single time it keeps initiating her actual issue, her negative emotion. And every time she saw a new one, new realities were added to it. So she felt like nothing I can do, there's no hope for me. And she started to be depressed. And she was looking through YouTube and different videos, and she found me, and she's like, I kind of like what you do because you don't talk about the problem, so can I have a session? The edit model is all about that, because what if we actually do have this technique where we can approach it but not do any harm? And this is what it's all about. It's based on some NLP, some hypnotherapy, and some HNLP with some twists to it. So it's based on something we call the emotional drop-through model, and I just want to share that with you for a little bit and see what happens. So let's move into it here. So EDIT stands for Emotional Drop and Initiation Technique, initialization technique. So dropping the negative emotion, but initiate the positive resources. So it's kind of like the easy setup to really understand the structure and how it's built is, first of all, we need to elicit the emotion, identify it. What is it? How are we going to deal with it? What do we need to do? That's the next thing. What do we need to do? And even more interesting, when we identified the emotion just by name or by whatever it can do, when we got that, the identification, let's talk about what the emotion or what is not the emotion. So what isn't that? What's everything else but that emotion? Because it changes the mind of the client, and that's the whole purpose of it. And when we noticed and recognize it's everything that is not the emotion, how do they want to feel emotional when we're done? Probably not the negative that we spend very little time talking about. Probably some of all and everything else that is not the emotion that we spend a lot of time talking about, and we fired up the neurological networks. So how do the client wants to feel emotional instead of what is? Then we're doing the drop-through technique by anchoring a couple of things. And when we've done that and went through as many loops as required and the emotion is gone, now we're going to test it, and now we're going to empower it even more. That's the basics of what we're going to talk about in the EDIT model. The emotional relief, emotional drop, and initialization technique. That's what it's all about. So let's talk about, going into the structure, the actual EDIT model. How to elicit the emotion. First of all, what is the most dominant internal representation? Which one is the most internal dominant representation? Is it a physiological thing? Is it an idea? Where is it? Where is it located? Let's talk about number 2. What prime power word represents it the most? Discomfort, pain, anger, anxiety. Which power word is representing that negative or that dominant internal representation the most? Number 3, let's create a small anchor. So let's say I got some sort of negative emotion, and let's say it's grief, and I feel it right here in my shoulder, and the first word that pops up with it is pain. It's not pain, but it's pain. I feel it in my shoulder, and I'm thinking pain as the power word to it. And now by tapping that a little bit, I'm creating a small anchor because it's right there. It could be anywhere, actually, but right now I'm creating this small anchor because we will release that later. So we got the grief, we got the pain, and we got the anchor now. That's how we elicit the emotion. That's everything we need, and the only thing we need. Let's stop talking about the negative right now then. So the next thing we will do is talk about what is not the emotion. So what is the emotion not? And that should be everything else but the emotion or everything we just talked about. So what image, what sound, what feeling, what taste, what scent is not the pain, is not the grief, is not the trigger. That should be a lot of things. Any other image but the image. Any other kinesthetic feeling but that kinesthetic feeling. Everything else should be it. So there's so many positive resources that is not the emotion. That's the whole idea behind it. So what emotion represents each nut. So let's say, move back a little bit, we got the negative, it's grief, it's pain, that's the trigger. So let's say we notice something in our stomach that is kind of like a bubbly feeling, which is not the negative emotion. So what emotion represents this? The bubbly feeling in my stomach. It could be curiosity, could be happiness, could be expectation, could be a lot of things, as long as we name it. Everything else that we notice, 3, 4, 5 things, is more powerful than the initial negative emotion. So step number 3, what anchor represents all primes? What I usually do is I'm tapping either the thigh or the top of the hand, because that is not, overstepping any boundaries or anything. If I'm tapping knee area, top of hand on my client, because I want to anchor all the nuts, right? What isn't it? What isn't the problem? What is it not? All the primes, all the powers. I just want to anchor that to one specific place, and I want to test it. So when I'm tapping it, I'm asking my client, how does this feel like? And now they should feel all the images, sounds, feeling, taste, scent that is not the prime, and every emotion that is not the initial problem. So that could take a while, because it might be a lot of things. I hope that makes sense. That will be a lot of things. All right. So what image, sound, feeling, taste, scent is not the prime. What emotion represents each nut? Oh, here we go, easier. What anchor represents all primes, maybe tapping client's hand, top of hand or thigh, knee area. And 4, test the anchor. That's what we're supposed to do. And when we're moving to step number 3, we want this step to be included in everything, because now we established what is the teeny tiny issue, what are all the resources, and then play with the imagination. Right after we're done with all the, we work with all the resources, now the client opened up for a more resourceful outcome, a better wanted outcome. So let's talk about this. So how do you want to feel emotional? That would be, a very obvious question to the client. So how do you want to feel emotional? So what is the highest intention behind the negative emotion? We could ask about that. How do you know? We can chunk it up. We can play with it. We can do the coaching model if you know what that is. If not, go to my website. But let's figure out what it really is. Get all the modalities and emotions connected to the high intention behind it, and get a prime that represents everything. So now we got a prime for everything that is not, and now we got a wanted outcome, how we want to feel emotional, and now we're creating a prime on that also. So we got 2 power primes, we've got 1 teeny tiny trigger and anchor that is connected to the problem. Connect the prime to the positive anchor, and you may want to repeat modalities and emotions while connecting it. So let's move everything, so all the primes, everything we gathered up, let's move that into the top of the hand or knee area on your thigh. So everything is connected to 1 power anchor / trigger that will totally overwhelm and empower everything that might be negative. So just play with the idea. What do you think happens when we trigger the small anger of the pain and the grief, and then right after we're gonna trigger the anger of all the primes, all the resources, all the powers, and we're doing that again and again and again. That means every time we kind of ignite the negative neural network within the brain, as we're supposed to do because it needs to be activated, then we're gonna empower all the rest of the neural networks that is now positive and resourceful, and that's gonna end up swallowing the entire negative, so it's going to be part of everything else. Some part, you might even collaborate, so when we start touching this, it triggers the other one, and it's a good thing now. So that's the outcome. That's what we want out of it eventually, right? Sorry about that. So when we got all these things going on, so I kind of mentioned it just a little bit. This is the next step we're heading towards. Now the actual drop through technique. So we got the negative anger, that's grief and pain, and now we got everything that the emotion is not. We got all the primes, all the positives that is now connected to this place, a new trigger, and Now we want to initiate the client. So we trigger the anchor of the negative emotion and we're stepping into it. So we're tapping that, we're triggering into it, and we're stepping into the emotion. And when they feel the emotion, I want them to nod their head just a little bit. And then drop immediately through the emotion when the positive triggers get activated. So we're tapping this, when they're nodding their head, they feel it. Now we tap the other trigger, and then we start repeating all the primes, all the positives, all the modalities, all the positive emotions that is connected to it again and again and again. And then we tap it again, and then the positive one, then the negative, and the positive one, until the moment when you're tapping the negative, they're not nodding their head anymore because they can't step into it. It's gone. They can't be connected to it. That means the brain has already changed the neurological pathways. So everything that used to be negative is now positive. It's connected anyway. So we're continuing this process until this has no effect whatsoever. And then we might even address the doubt, the conscious mind. Say, well, what if there is anything? Pretend there is anything left and just play along with it, be creative or imagine, and then tap this one right after. Because now we've got that doubt, that creative mind also being settled with positive resources. Now we're going to connect all negative, the old negative to the new positive trigger. So imagine these two cooperate right now, shoulder and that one. So let's play with the idea that the client can imagine that when this has no effect anymore, what if we actually connected that to the top of the hand? So either way, if we're tapping this place, feel overwhelmed by positive emotions, and then tapping the shoulder, feel the same thing. That means now we're destroying anything that in the past could have triggered the negative, because now it goes to somewhere else. That is the fourth step within the actual drop through. That's how we do it. That's how we put it all together. That's how we're making sure it really works. And that's how powerful it is. So again, if we just, I'm going to show you this, by the way. Don't worry, I'm going to show you this in just a moment. So the drop through technique is trigger the anchor of the negative emotion and stepping into it. Wait for confirmation and nod with their head. Then drop immediately through the emotion with the positive triggers when they get activated. Tapping multiple times, repeating all primes with your words and modalities and positive emotions to overwhelm on all levels. Then continue doing this until the negative trigger has no power left. There's no effect. And then we're connecting this one to the new one so it has the same response to it, the same positive response to it. That is how we do the drop through technique. So what do you do next? Because they went through a whole lot. There's no effect left, but why not testing it and empowering it? So we could play with it. This is where most therapists actually is a little bit afraid, or they go a little bit wrong in a way. They get a little bit hesitant because what if it don't work? Well, here's the thing. If it doesn't work, why should you do it? Why would you offer your client a session with something that might not work, right? So you probably want to do something that actually does work. So we want to test and empower it by simple steps. Again, 4 steps on this one. And yes, I am going to show you, don't worry. And you can replay the video as many times as you want, and you can still see it. So imagine that we want the client to imagine or trying to connect with what used to be the problem, or even just pretend and see what happens. And then in a positive language, we're asking the question, so as you're doing that, what happens now? And then we're just tapping the positive trigger, just activating it. Tell your client to activate it as they're trying to connect what used to be. Because now they're trying to establish something that was part of the past, but right now is triggered in a different way because the circuits has changed and there's no way they can connect to it. Let's say, because somebody will say, well, what if there is something? Trust me, that's going to be something new, and we can just do the drop through once again, or repeat the entire process once again, and we get that sorted out also. So what happens now, and we're going to activate the positive triggers. Imagine the emotion that was in the past, any situation that used to trigger it in the past, that you walk into a situation like that in the future. Like, imagine everything that used to be a problem in the past, everything right now is in front of you as one singular situation that represents everything that might have happened in the past. And now you just step through it as you're tapping your positive trigger. What happens now? What do you feel more of the resources? What new resources pops up? That would be the questions I'm going to ask my clients, because it expands the positive experience so much more. And then we calibrate to the new body language, new positive body language. So lean back a little bit, pay attention to your client, look what's happening. Has their posture changed? Are they leaning forward? Are they being more mobile? Are their behaviors changed? Do they start smiling? Is there a rush of blood to the head? Is there color changes? Pay attention to all of that and then notice it and point it out like, oh, that's a change. Did you notice that? Your hand starts looking happy or whatever. You get some nice colors in your face. It looks like you're breathing deeper. Could be anything, actually. So that is how we test it and empower it. Trust me, it's powerful. It's really, really powerful. So again, the entire protocol, just to put it all together as it is right now, the emotional drop and initialization technique is elicit the emotion. What is the emotion not? Right? What is the emotion not? How do you want to feel emotional? And then the drop through, and then test and empower it. This will do the job. On top of everything else with the Siri and the understanding of emotions, trust me, these 5 steps is going to change the world of your client. So what I want to do right now is I want to show you the video with me doing a demo. And actually not a demo with somebody who is easy, actually somebody who within a training had a severe emotion that he's been trying to get out of or rid of for many, many years. And he was kind of hesitant, but he wanted to go. He didn't really, well, I hope there was expectation of cooperating, but it seems like he wasn't that willingly on a conscious level to actually get the job done, because many reasons. It was impromptu, there was people watching, and he's kind of like he could be a shy guy, so, but anyway, I just want to show it to you, so enjoy the demo. And pay attention to all the steps we just went through, because it's based on that. There might be some small changes, but it's basically everything I just told you. So please enjoy this demo. Okay. I want to address something before I actually start up. Whoa, somebody's hungry. Step 1, it's 5 steps, but all steps have some sub-steps to it, okay? When I talk about elicit the emotion, then I want Henk, as being the client right now, to explain the emotion to me. I will do as much as I can of not engaging the emotion, because that will not benefit the session. So it's not like, feel the emotion now. No, I'm not going to do that, because, too much, right? Erase. There we go. So what I'm doing instead, I want him to kind of think about it, because thinking is not connecting to the emotion. And then I want him to try and explain to me what pops up when he's talking about that, specific emotion. I don't necessarily have to know anything about when, how, and why. That would be some of the stuff that we'll do tomorrow. But this is basically because, let's say Henk, he feels like, I'm totally fixed. But once in a while, I have this feeling, it's an emotion deep inside, and I can't get rid of it. That's the one, right? Yeah. So what I want you to do first, so let's just take this step by step. I want to elicit the emotion. So first of all, when you think about that emotion, because you know how it feels, so when you think about it right now, because it happened so many times in the past, what is the strongest internal representation of how you experience that emotion? Is it based on kinesthetics? Is it an inner feeling, also kinesthetics? Is it an idea, like a visual thing?
No, it's an inner feeling.
It's an inner feeling, so it's kinesthetic.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel it right now.
You feel it right now, so there's a connection. Just leave that on a distance. That's very important. Leave that on a distance so you can still communicate with it without entering it. Because you do know it, but you don't have to become it. Okay, so it's a kinesthetic feeling. Perfect. So where is it located right now?
Something around
Okay,
here.
I'm just curious. That's it. So what I want to know right now is,
Stomach, yeah.
okay, so if it's a kinesthetic feeling, what is the ideas that pops up in your mind in a way you would explain that kinesthetic feeling?
Sadness. I would say fear, but I don't know why. But
If it pops up, fear is good to me.
yeah,
Sadness, fear.
yeah.
What else kind of like explains it to me?
Failure
Okay.
and and something I don't know what word what word I must.
Okay.
give.
That is kind of interesting because it's something, but you can't describe it.
Yeah.
If that was a color, a symbol, a sound, what would it be?
And dark brown brick. Yeah.
A dark brown brick. So on top of sadness, fear, and failure, there's this dark brown brick. What word would explain that? First thing that pops up right now.
Power.
Okay. What kind of power?
A leak of power.
Okay. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I want you to do right now is, from all of these things, which one is the strongest one? Which one is the dominant one? Is it sadness? Is it fear? Is it failure? Is it that power? What contains all of it? Feels right. Within that kinesthetic feeling, what feels right from those 4 words, which one is the dominant one?
I think power.
Does it feel right? Is that the leader of the pack? Is that the boss? Okay.
Yeah.
You know, there's good power and the bad power. I know what that is. Okay. So, right now, if you could trigger or connect with it without entering it, but something that would be a physiological thing that you could do so you know, oh, that's the power I'm talking about because it represents all the other things. How would you do that? What kind of physiological trigger would you do?
Like a touching or.
Yeah. Well, it was in this area.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but if you should just do a tap or hold your hand somewhere, knowing that you're connected now to that sort of power.
So this.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is it that movement?
That movement.
Not just hold, but you actually have to do this.
This movement.
Okay, perfect. It's really important to me that the exact movement is the one that represents it. So his anchor right now is not just a tap, not just hold, but it's this. Makes a big difference that we do it exactly the same way that you do it. So it's this, isn't it? Okay, perfect. You're doing a really good job, by the way, just so you know.
Okay.
Perfect. So let's move on a little bit. I want to know what it isn't. It's kind of like a weird way of asking questions now, but I want to know what it isn't. And I want to go through a couple of questions that might seem like those are ridiculous. But I want you to give me an honest answer. Okay? So first of all, what kind of image is not that power?
The sun.
The sun. What kind of sound is not that power?
Guitar.
Guitar, okay. Yeah, hey. Okay. What kind of feeling, kinesthetic feeling, is not that power?
Love.
Love? What kind of scent or taste is not that power?
I would say
Wait a second. Allow your body to tell you.
okay.
What scent or taste is not that power? First thing.
Salt.
Salt? Okay. Is there a scent to it also, or is it just taste?
I connected with the beach.
Okay, came fast. So now we got all 5, senses, modalities right now. Are you with me so far? Perfect. So I want to know, when you think about the sun, and you explain that a little bit, the sun could be feelings, could be sounds, could be all sorts of things. What is the prime of the sun when you think about the way you want to explain it? Because that's everything the power is not. That is the image of the sun.
I would say freedom.
Okay. What prime is the guitar? When you're listening to that sound of the guitar, which is not the power. How would you explain that to me? What does it give you?
What is the word for samhor, right?
Some.
Togetherness.
Okay.
Yeah. Something like that.
Togetherness, companionship, connection.
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 Yeah. I was searching for the English word.
Yeah, okay.
But connection.
It's all good. You're doing fine.
That resonates.
Yeah, you're doing fine. What prime represents love? Feeling of love. Everything that you know that love is, which is not the power.
Everything there is.
Everything.
Everything.
Is that everything you feel? Everything you know? Everything you hear? What is it?
No, everything I feel.
Everything you feel.
Yeah.
What prime is salt? Because you got pretty surprised by your own answer, didn't you? You went, salt? What? Hey, what? What's happening?
Salt, yeah. That is.
What does it do for you? Which is not power.
I try to feel it and not to think it.
You suddenly get that scent of salt. What's happening? Where does your focus go?
Tinkling,
Okay,
bubbling.
so you feel your body.
Yeah.
Tingly.
Yeah. Tinkling.
Okay? And that scent of the beach. What good does that do for you? Where does it take you? Happiness.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't get it, but I normally go to the forest, but okay.
Yep. Well, the unconscious works in mysterious ways.
Yeah.
All right? So now we got, all the nuts connected to each modality, now with the prime, which is a great feeling and new emotion. You get that? So we have 5 modalities, now with new prime, which is an emotion. Freedom, connection, feel everything, tingly, and also happiness. Pretty powerful. It is powerful. So what we want to do right now is I want to actually create one anchor that represents all of that. That represents sun, guitar, love, salt, beach, happiness, tingly, everything you feel, connection and freedom. What does your body tell you? If you place your hand there, it feels amazing. Even actually, if it could be somewhere I could help you by activating it, it will be great.
What feels right?
I think here.
Yeah,
Strange spot.
isn't it? So when you touch that spot right there, it activates, doesn't it? Okay. So go to your inner place right now. And place your arm in a position so you can tap it, hold it, or I can tap it. Just sit there for a brief moment. And be ready to feel sun, guitars, love, salt, beach, happiness, tingly, everything you feel, connection and freedom all at once. That's right. And just feel that power even more up. Just feel that throughout your entire body. And feel how that multiplies. It becomes easier. Even easier. Just by thought, you can do it now. How does that feel? Great. Yeah. Perfect. Now, knowing that you talked about this issue in the beginning that was, how do you want to feel emotional instead of that?
Neutral.
So what do you think is the highest intention behind feeling that power that wasn't very good for you? I'm at 3 now, just so you know.
Can you repeat the question?
What is the highest intention behind the power, that emotion? What is the highest intention? Why is it necessary for you to once in a while and feel that? Because it must mean something.
Yeah.
And
Protection.
you, sorry?
Protection.
Protection. So sadness, fear, failure leads to you being able to protect yourself. Or at least that's the highest intention, isn't it? Are there other occasions where you actually do protect yourself, but it's not connected to that kind of power?
Yeah.
Okay. How do you know it's protection?
First what popped up.
Why is protection important to you? Peter, that's chunking up.
Because of I want to take care of myself and
Take care.
yeah,
Why is it important to you to take care of yourself?
so that I can be safe.
Be safe. Why do you need to be safe? When you feel safe, how do you really feel?
I feel okay.
You feel okay. Why is it important to you to feel okay?
So I can feel inner peace.
So you can feel inner peace. And when you have inner peace, what can you do then?
Feel love.
Then you can feel love. Now, is that you can feel it and you can give it, or is it just feel it?
Give it.
Both. So everything love. And when you eventually, finally, will be able to feel and give love unconditionally, why is that important to you? What happens then when you finally will be able to do it?
This is like a reward.
Who are you then?
Then I'm me,
What does that mean?
my higher self.
You're your higher self. Okay.
My executive decision right now is sticking with the high intention called love, meaning all of that. Be your higher self, accept, give love, be you. Does that make sense? Do you want to change any of it?
No.
Okay, perfect. So what I want you to do right now is basically, let's see, I just want to follow up my own steps here. Yeah, so what I want to do right now is, I think I was ahead of time just before. A little bit, yeah. Because I did all three. Just stay with me, stay in that love right now. Because I actually did all three and I started up in the wrong way. Just, I'm not wanna. Okay, makes sense. I'm just a little bit ahead of schedule. Are you all with me? Okay. Just mixed a couple of things up, doesn't make a big difference. What I want to do in just a minute might feel overwhelming. We're at 4 now. It might feel overwhelming. Because I want you to trigger that negative emotion. And as you do, you will feel that other trigger be activated. So when you trigger the emotion, this time I want you to fully connect to it. To that power, that fear, that sadness, that failure. So when you start tapping, you will feel another tap on that, wait a minute, on that other trigger. And when you feel that other trigger, just imagine you go straight through that emotion as if you're dropping through it, losing your ground beneath you and just fall down through it. Become weightless. And then you feel everything else. Ready? Whenever you feel like it, when you're ready, just activate your trigger and see what happens. Now, there. That's good. And just let it go. Just let it go. Just let it go. Perfect. Perfect. That's good. We're going to do it again. Let's see how much energy you got left. And let go. Just like that. Perfect. Good. If you know there's anything left, just do it one more time and see what happens. Because that freedom, that connection, just boosts you up just like that. That great feeling becomes even more powerful. Try and do it again. See what happens right there. There we go. Yeah, teeny tiny bit left. Perfect. I want you to activate that trigger once more, and I want you to tell me honestly if there's anything left, and if there is, how that feels. Well, do it again and just imagine there's a little bit teeny tiny doubt. And let go of that also. Here we go. Perfect. Yeah. Even the doubt is gone. Check it. Try it. See what happens. Now I want you to imagine that, well, let's create something that's not really there, that could be a problem. I just want to try and activate that again and see what happens. Just pull that trigger, and even that disappears. Even that disappears. And there it is. I want you to experience something. The next time you pull that trigger, it's just like I'm touching this place. Try it. As if it's connected now. And as you do so, I want you 5, I want you to try to connect to that emotion that was. That sadness, fear, failure, power. I want you to try and connect with that. And I want you to do your best, really in trying. And if you need the trigger for it, just use the trigger. What happens now? You feel love. Well, I want you to enter all past situations where you might have felt sadness, fear, failure, or that kind of power. I want you to move through all of them. And just feel love. And I want you to move all of those into the future, as if all those situations that in the past triggered your sadness, your fear, your failure, your power, imagine one of those situations came tomorrow. And you just walk straight into it. What happens now? There we go. How do you react now?
It's okay.
It is okay, isn't it? I want you to gather all of them and pile them up as it's one giant thing that represents everything from your past. It could be sadness, failure, even fear, or that kind of power, that brown brick. And I want you to enter it now. What happens? It disappears. How do you react now?
It's okay. I got this.
It's okay, you got it. Now what I want you to do, just teeny tiny last thing, I just want you to go through your own mind, your brain, your memories, your body, and I want you to search to see if there's anything at all, anything left that isn't activating your love right now. There might be a teeny tiny bit left, but looking at it right now with love, how do you feel?
Like a cloud of wall of love.
There we go. If I say fear, what happens within your body right now? If I say sadness, what happens in your body right now? If I say failure, Henk, a big issue from Henk, who he was, from yesterday and the entire past, what happens now?
Nothing.
What is power now, Henk?
I am. Just I am.
You are, aren't you? Perfect. Now feel that throughout your entire body. And when you feel ready for it, I want you to open up your eyes. And I want you to adjust everything that you know you are now. That power of love, feeling great, that inner peace, that you're okay. So when you're ready, now let's have an open eye conversation. I want to bring something to you. Sadness? Fear? I got a good one. Failure? How do you feel?
Fucking great.
All right.
It's like electric. How do you say that?
Electricity.
Electricity around my whole body. It is tinkling, and even now it is. And
I
feel
get it.
so much power and so much love for myself and for everybody. It is.
You just let go. Now, find your seat. Have your own time for a couple of minutes. Adjust yourself and see what happens. Welcome. All right. Did you notice a change? No.
You have your eyes closed.
So, I'm not sure where I actually did lose track at some point.
Somewhere.
Yeah, so between 3 and, actually between 2 and 3, I think. But it was just in 3, okay.
Yeah.
Good, all right. Because I got so into that process, and that is the danger. So I'm just being human, right? But I just want to go through it once more with reference to Henk, because that will be another boost to everything Henk is right now. Okay? Would that be okay with you?
Yeah.
Good. So first of all, elicit the emotion. What is the most dominant internal representation? Kinesthetic, immediately. In most cases when it comes to emotions, kinesthetic. That's it. So expect that to happen. Okay? Next one, what prime power word represents it the most? And in this case, it was sadness, but a few others came up. Fear, failure, and it was all the brown brick that was the word for power, or the power was what represents it. So now that's the prime. The brick, which is power, now represents all of it. So that's what we're going to use. And that was a pretty negative power, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Remember, I still use everything in past tense. It was. Good. Then we created the small anchor, because we're going to release that later, or make it become a double trigger of all the positive. But I want you to remember something. In this first part, we actually only talk about one representation, only kinesthetic, and then a few words that represents that. Because I don't want it to have more power or anything else to say, so I'm going to minimize that as much as possible, but it's enough for you to enter that emotion, correct? Mm-hmm. Good. Next one, this is the fun part. If you know Cartesian coordinates, do you know that? So let's say Evelyn says, I'm afraid of dogs. I would say, which dogs are not afraid of you? Huh? What about you are not afraid of dogs? Yeah, okay. It's to create confusion because it rewires the brain snappy, like really fast. So here's the thing. What is the emotion not? So what image, sound, feeling, taste, or scent is not the prime? And it's a weird question. He came up with weird answers. Did he look surprised on most of the answers? Good. So image, sun. What the fuck, right? Guitar, sound. Love as the kinesthetic feeling. Makes sense because that came through. Salt as the taste. And the scent was the beach. It doesn't make sense, does it? But it's everything that isn't. That is the fun part. So now when we know, what's not the prime, we want what prime represents each not. And that is actually another emotion. So freedom came with the sun. That is a state. Connection came with the sound. Everything that you can feel came with the love. That is everything. So it's all connected. The taste became tingly. And the sound gave you happiness. It's pretty powerful from something he was surprised by when he heard his own answers. Because those are strong feelings, emotions, sensations, states. Correct?
Correct.
Good. So what anchor represents all primes? His new tattoo. It means something. And I know I gave him some sort of suggestion that would be convenient if it's a place I can actually tap also. If it wasn't, there's a couple of things you now know. Well, if they place the hand on top of it, okay. Here's another way of doing it. Let's say they keep activating the good positive anchor. Now the hand becomes a trigger. So if they just place the hand on the thigh and you tap the hand, it doesn't need the physiological connection because we did the same thing with you yesterday. I could do it on a distance. There we go. So yeah, that doesn't work, but this does. There you go. Right? So yes, it works that way. Awesome. So now we got all this in place. We got the negative anchor and we got the positive one. That's actually what we got right now. And this is based on something that rewired your brain already, but you didn't know.
A question by step one, create a small anchor. That was this one.
Yep,
Yeah.
this one.
Okay.
This movement.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
And the interesting part is right now, you couldn't even connect with it. There you go.
No.
It's not even the same gesture because it's gone.
Yeah. It's
Interesting, isn't it?
interesting.
Yeah. Fun. So that was 1 and 2. So we got some anchors, we got some rewiring of the brain, and now we got to this part where I messed it up just a little bit. I just think I skipped or reversed a couple of those.
Oh, this 1 and 2 is installation.
Yeah, basically.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, prepping you to the big moment.
Yeah.
Next one, how do you want to feel emotions instead? It actually became like a question I shouldn't ask because it's the title of the steps right underneath. That's my mistake. So, highest intention behind the negative emotion. What was it? And as Peter noticed, because I mentioned it, this is chunking up, Peter. We came a long way. We went to level 12, 13, maybe before you came to it. Yeah. And we ended up with, okay, inner peace, feel love. And then I asked about feel love, and you can just be. I'm like, okay, that is soul level kind of thing. So let's stick with the feel love because it has some connection to some of the new stuff. So I would be okay with that because that is a powerful feeling. And since I know you a little bit, I know that's a theme too. So it makes perfectly sense when it comes to all of these emotions. So that is my knowledge, right? So I accepted that, but only because you actually approved it after I asked you. All right?
Yeah.
So highest intention behind the negative emotion was feeling love, meaning give and take or receive, better word. So how do you know? Well, you felt it. You could feel it all over. There was condition all over. Connect all modalities connected to the highest intention and get a prime for each modality. That is where I actually, here we go. That's what confused me. I did something wrong here. Connect all modalities connected to the highest. Okay, all right, yeah. So here's the thing. I forgot one step. But it still worked. The step I forgot, so let's do it now. Feeling love. How does that make you feel? Kinesthetic feeling, where do you know it?
Like if I lift up.
So levitating.
Yeah.
Okay. So what image comes with that? Feeling love and levitating. Yvonne, there you go. What sound comes with that? Okay, yeah, privacy. So I'm just going to say taste and scent right now and just keep that information to yourself right now. But take all of those modalities, right? Take a look at your anchor. Because you know what all this is. But take all those modalities and you just put it right in there. There we go. So it's part of it. You tap it, see what happens. There you go. Even just placing your hand on your thigh and then you feel some connection, feel that now. It grows. Same thing goes with her because now you feel that too. There you go. And fun part is, if I do it at either one of you, you both feel it. There we go.
Nice, isn't it? Okay, that was the part I forgot about. Sorry, my mistake. So, and now connect each prime to the positive anchor. I just did that. That was the 2 steps I missed. Sorry about that. That's why I go through it all again. But it, it just feels better now. Did it actually make any challenges for us? Did it make it a bad thing? No, not at all. Now we just, feel even better. Try not to feel that. All right. Now trigger the anchor of the negative emotion. Okay, so I actually you could see a physiological negative response to that. But immediately I just wanted him to connect with it and then overload with that one. So he went like, like that was a big split experience right there. Engage, release, engage, release, engage, release. And I know from experience that trigger will stop working.
It's overloaded.
Yeah, I even gave it a couple suggestions. It might not even work anymore. And try and see if there's anything left, because I want to make sure there's nothing left. And then finally, I gave that the same power as if he actually touched his positive anchor. So he can try and do that one, and now it just connects with that one, and he feels great just as if I was doing that. It'll be fun at sushi night tonight. Right? So, drop through. That's the drop through technique, and repeat until the negative trigger doesn't work. We did that, right? Now, try and connect. This is the testing part. Step 5, I'm going to test the shit out of Hank right now, making sure that there's nothing left. If there was a teeny tiny bit left, what could we do? Repeat step 4. That's it. Right now, what I want you to do, in a moment, I just want you to do this kind of touching, like I'm doing right now, right there in your chest. Do that now. Here we go. Yeah. All right. So I'm making sure now with the new powers from the steps I forgot is now integrated with you. Feels even better, doesn't it? Double. Yeah. Okay. I'll stop now. Now you can do it on your own. Yeah, try to connect to the emotion that was. What happens now when you try and connect with it? So, and I still use the trigger if there's some kind of, I'm not really sure what it is, if I don't see any big, changes, I will just fire off his trigger. And I will have an answer. What happens now? And his, response was pretty quick. Love, I'm okay. No problem. It's all good. Yeah. Let's move along with it. Take all the past situations that created those negative words or experiences, take all of those, put them into the future and just enter it, see what happens. Fire it off. Fire, 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 fire. Nothing happens. And then when he woke up, calibrating to body language, I said, open eyes, we're done. What happens now when I say sadness? There we go. There's a couple of things I want to share with you that I also did. I didn't go sadness, fear. No, I go sadness, fear, failure. My sound, my voice, my frequency within the word is also changed, because now when I say that, he's connected to that spot and that spot, and he will feel love. So it doesn't mean anything besides good love power, right? Another thing I did, if you noticed, with a physiological gesture, I minimized his problem all the way through. And I did that in the step 2.
Amazing. And by the way, I hope you enjoy that. All the steps, I actually made the graphics for that, so you can follow the pace all through the demo. Hope you liked it. It's one of my favorite ones, because you could definitely see the change within Henk right after compared to how he was in the very beginning. And he had a massive outcome of that. He had a great result and still feels like that. So it's perfect. And so I just basically hope you follow the steps and you understood the process, because it's a beautiful process and it's a really nice way of doing things. You have to be playful all the way through. You have to have fun with it. You have to make sure there's some passion, there's some, love your craft and enjoy those moments. Switch off the conscious thinking and just, explore and enjoy and experience. That is basically 3 E's. We just made up 3 E's, so explore, enjoy, and experience. That's what it's all about, okay? So that's the only way you can have fun with what you do, and you can have great results being respectful of the problem, but being more respectful towards the client, because we know if they can identify a problem, there's always a better resource. And that's the whole thing, by the way. There's no way you can identify a problem without knowing there's resources within you, because you cannot identify a state, I have this problem, unless you know the situation could be better. And the only way you know that things could be better is because you know you had a previous experience of something being better, or you have the resources within, consciously or unconsciously. So everybody who says, I have a problem, you should go, yay, because that means you have the resources to overcome the problem. Otherwise, you couldn't identify the problem as being a problem. Make sense? I hope it makes sense. So anyway, I just want to share some more stuff with you that is hopefully something that will make you even more curious. Since this is video and not me being live, I still want to give you the opportunity of interacting with me. So on Sunday, let's say, when was it? It was Sunday the 16th. That is the Sunday while doing HypnoThoughts live. On 2100 Central European Summertime, that means Copenhagen time, and that will be noon Las Vegas time. That means during the lunch break. So if you want to, go hide in the lunch break on Sunday at HypnoThoughts, you can open up your laptop and you can join me for 1 hour live webinar that has to do with this instant relief technique. So this is my talk anyway, and I will talk about this, but the webinar will be more interactive, and I'm aiming for 1 hour because I just want to give you some more stuff and present some more stuff for you. So and I just love doing what I do. So if you found this just a teeny tiny bit attractive, and if you're a little bit surprised, and if you're just a little bit intrigued by it, this should be it. And you know what? That lady, by the way, who thought that there was no way of getting out of her problem, her negative state, I took her through this process. And you know what? Today, she's a powerful hypnotherapist herself, because her journey through all the stages of doing hypnotherapy, all the failures she felt she had with other therapists, and then suddenly in my office feeling this great result that didn't go away. No, it stayed, but the problems went away, and she even released some more stuff in the process. She was so amazed. So she quit her job and she asked me, what should I do right now to be able to do what you do? And I'm like, well, I do have some trainings, but there's other academies out there, other trainers. So I want you to go look at everything that you know. But knowing what I represent, now you got that experience. You got the reference to other modalities, and you got the reference to mine. And to take a look at everything and make a decision based on how you feel within your stomach. What is the gut feeling? Do you feel connected with your heart? Does it make sense within your mind? If that's how you feel, you should choose me, not because I say it, but because it feels right. Right? That's what it's all about. So she took all the training she could to be able to do the same thing. She started out slowly with a couple of, techniques and protocols, and now she's a master hypnotherapist, and she wants to become a trainer also. And that's also possible. So that's amazing what kind of, she had all the resistance a client could possibly have, but she still came to my office. She made an appointment and she showed up. That's it, right? So that's what it's all about. So speaking about all of that, on Sunday the 16th on HypnoThoughts Live, and if you're watching this way after that, you know, in the package I'm going to promote to you, that video is going to be part of that package also, don't worry. And you know, the webinar might even be live on the website. So if you go to instantemotionalrelief.com, you might see the webinar right there, free of charge, because it's free. Okay, but let's move on a little bit. I want to show you something. I want to show you this. Let's see. Here we go. So this is the fast go through with something that is, you can just throw it in there. But if you want to be an expert, if you want to be really good at what you do, we are launching, on August 17th, the Monday right after, where I was supposed to do my pep talking live, but I will do it virtually anyway. We're going to release the instantemotionalrelief.com full training with everything within the instant emotional relief, with a total perfected protocol, with way more tools and securities than you already watched. It's going to be the advanced, powerful model, you know, in spite of what you've just seen, that's pretty powerful, but that is a full session protocol. So I want you right now to go and have a look at instantemotionalrelief.com, take a look at all the content, because there's a lot of content. And on top of that, there's going to be 2 live sessions. The webinar, there's going to be a Q&A session, and I would usually charge $247 for that, but right now, with everything you just watched, you get it for $97. And it's valid until Sunday 16th, August 2020. Then the price goes up, and it will. It's not a fancy trick or anything like that. That's what it is, because I wanna show everybody who was supposed to be at HypnoThoughts that, hey, I wanted to be there too. So this is a gift for you. And the pep talk that I'm going to do on Monday the 17th, that was supposed to be live in person, but now will be virtual. That is still just $247 also. $247 performance enhancement protocol for everybody who's working with anything but clients with problems, but athletes, CEOs, businessmen, creative people who just want to become better at what they do and want to focus on the more positive psychology within hypnosis. That's the training for them. And you can use it on yourself, becoming a better speaker, teacher, hypnotist, therapist, whatsoever. So, but here's another deal. If you're signing up for the pep talk, you're getting the entire pep talking hypnosis workshop for $247. But if you're signing up Sunday the 16th latest, you will also get the entire instant emotional relief within that package, and all the bonus videos I added to it for just $247. So you will save way more than $500 signing up on that. And last moment, I'm just going to say it was a pleasure presenting this to you. It was my pleasure. And all the bonus stuff is going to be right there in the online trainings. And if you need anything, let me know. Follow the links and see where it takes you. Let's see. Here's another one. Here's a special. Yep. So if you want to be part of the webinar, go to nextwebinarwithcastor.com, and you can just sign up right now, and you can make sure. And if you sign up for the webinar, I'll make sure you get all the links, all the PDFs, all the bonuses, as long as you sign up to the webinar. And if you go like, oh, I really want to be on the webinar, but I can't because I'm having lunch with Ken Guzzo or somebody else, don't worry, sign up and watch the replay. I can't send you the replay if you're not signing up. So sign up, it's free of charge, and have fun with it. And that's all, folks. That's what I wanted to show you. So instead of standing right there in front of you, this is me doing my best to be part of your experiences right now. It was a pleasure. And by the way, I can't wait to see you at HypnoThoughts 2021. And by the way, if you're watching all of this and way later than HypnoThoughts Live 2020, hey, still go to the websites and see what you can get out of that. There might still be some early birds or some discounts or whatever, but this is amazing. So I can't wait to see you. And don't be a stranger. Hook me up on social media. Go say hi, send me an email. I'm always here. And that's all for me for now. It was a pleasure. Have fun, everyone. And hope to see you on a live event, either virtually or in person.